Hi, I'm Rachel Taylor Brown. Welcome to my home.
Hi there, I'm Mike Forts, and welcome back to Parlour. We're going to continue and, for the time, conclude our stay in Portland with the extraordinarily eccentric singer-songwriter Rachel Taylor Brown. And I say eccentric with nothing but fondness, and the reasons why should come across clearly in our interview. I first met Rachel at a Fear of Heights show with Chris Robley in San Francisco, and quickly became a fan of her sweeping album Half Hours with the Lower Creatures. Her latest album is a short collection of character sketches as songs entitled Susan Storm's Ugly Sister and Other Saints and Superheroes. I asked Rachel to tell us about the genesis of this record, which started with her own vivid imagination messing around with the world of Marvel Comics, in particular the Invisible Woman Susan Storm.
What if this gorgeous invisible woman had a very plain or even ugly sister who had no superpowers and who would envy her gorgeous sister that power to turn invisible and feel like that's completely wasted on someone that beautiful. Why can't I have that power to turn completely invisible, that superpower? And in the song, when I was writing it, I was picturing her in some cafe or public place, and she's sort of sitting there bitterly looking at people who are looking through her or not seeing her, and that she has this kind of epiphany that she does have a kind of a power of invisibility. It's just not super. And in my mind, that's kind of the day that she wakes up, and I pictured her going off and living this merry life of horrible crime after that, using her newfound discovery. So it's a happy song. I think that gave me the idea of offshoot, sort of not so talented and gifted relatives and family members and friends of superheroes that struggle with their relationship with their superhero relative. And so that's how Batman's, or Bruce Wayne's bastard son came about. I found out that they did have a bastard son line at one point, but it kind of fell off. But I do feel like in my version, in Bruce Wayne's bastard son, that the bastard Bruce Wayne, and I'm using bastard not in the literal sense there, but just know that my Bruce Wayne is really sleazy. And that kind of goes into how he winds up producing this bitter bastard who hates and loves his father and is lurking in the Batcave and waiting to do something awful to Robin. Poor Robin. I know. I just started going from there and trying to find something a little skewed about, or to do with them, you know, that wouldn't really be natural to their plot line or how their stories have been in the comics that they've been in. It's terrible. I misused them most terribly.
As far as I'm concerned, Rachel can continue to misuse other people's characters as much as she pleases. She actually didn't so much misuse the weird, wacky saints who inspired the second half of the album, as she found a connection between them, her imaginary superhero siblings, and the rest of us.
You know, the saints figure pretty heavily in certain periods of art, and there's all this symbolic shit going on in the paintings and in sculpture, and I'd see these saints with things like a platter holding breasts, or a dog licking an open sore on this saint. You know, the saint standing there like a saint with their cross in their hand or something, and then they've got this dog licking this gross ulcer on their leg. And I was, you know, and I figured out once I learned more, you know, that those are, I mean, the dog of that saint, and I'm forgetting, I wish I remember the name of them. He was the saint of ulcerated sores or something like that. I mean, there's a saint for so many friggin' weird things. There's saints for chancres. There's a saint for chancres. There's a saint for everything. I'm not kidding you. And so I really got into it because some of them were just so bizarre. And then when I decided, all right, I want to write these saint songs. I was actually first starting thinking of including other people, like among my musician friends, and putting together a compilation thing. And then I realized I'm not that person who organizes that kind of thing. It's the kind of thing that sounds like, hey, let's put on a show. Great idea. But if I'm realistic about myself, no. Better to find someone else who's like good at and enjoys organizing things like that. And so I started getting interested when I researched more saints, and I just found more and more weird ones. And I thought, no, I want to do it all myself. I want to hog the saints. And so so I picked out a few, and as it turned out, I didn't pick out the weirdest ones. Like Zoe of Rome is, the reason her story appealed to me was that she was martyred on the 5th of July. And I was sitting at the piano, and I was just thinking, oh, the 5th of July, and I realized it made me think of, Independence Day and fireworks. And she was hung from a tree by her hair, and then they lit a fire underneath her. So she was like the human firework. And, especially in those times, those kind of events drew big crowds. Not that I don't think they wouldn't today if we were allowed, to have those kind of events. I don't think that bloodlust in humans has gone away. And then St. Fina's just one of those martyrs that was the long-suffering woman who, she was the girl who was sickly, and then she rejoiced in her sickness because it brought her closer to Jesus, and rejoiced in every horrible kick and thing that happened to her, because it made her more Jesus's girlfriend. To me, when I started writing both, I was kind of writing both at the same time. I could have done 2 separate albums, but as I was playing them, either live or just sitting here in my house, they belonged together. They just belonged together to me. It just felt right to me that they sat together, and I think maybe that's just because they're great stories, they're character studies. And each story is about a colorful, kind of out of the mainstream character. And I didn't question it. When I felt like these should go together, I went with it. It's the things that, I don't want to use the word unite because I sound like that unite us all. USA! But it's the things that we do have in common.
Common threads.
That are interesting. I mean, people are so wildly different, but there are these things in all of us, And that's what I hope to try to get at. Not always so good at it, but that's sort of like a recurring struggle for me, is to get at those things in my songwriting.
It's a valiant struggle, Rachel, and we hope you'll keep it up. We'll finish off our visit with a few peeks at some of the instruments and gadgets that Rachel has collected to make the unique songs on her records, and check out the downloads from the Susan Storm album, as well as the exclusive performance footage of a very charming, as-yet unreleased song called Estate Sale, which finds Rachel playing guitar rather than her usual piano and keyboards. Thanks for hanging with us, and I'll see you next week when we return to the Bay Area to visit an artist who I met in, of all places, Portland. Enjoy.